Distribution of compensation. Section 8 is talking about distribution of compensation. So compensation must be paid to the dependents only. No other person except dependents have right to claim compensation. And compensation should not be paid directly to the workman by his employer in case of injury or death. So employer should deposit the workman compensation with the commissioner, and the deposited compensation to workmen shall be paid through the commissioner to the workmen. If no dependent is there for deceased workmen, there is no necessity to pay compensation by the employer. This is mentioned under section 8 clause 4. So if two or more dependents exist for a deceased workman, the compensation amount shall be distributed by the commissioner according to his wish. This is mentioned under section 8 clause 5. And if the workman dependent is of legal disability, a minor, or mental capacity or neglect of children, then the compensation amount shall be invested for their according to the directions of commissioner. Now, Section 8 lays down the following rules regarding the distribution of compensation. So, compensation for death and lump sum payment due to a woman or to a person under a legal disability must be deposited with the commissioner. But in the case of a deceased workman, an employer may make to any dependent advantages on account of compensation not exceeding an aggregate of 100 rupees, so much of such aggregate as does not exceed the compensation payable to that dependent shall be deduced by the commissioner from such compensation and repaid to the employer. Any other sum amounting to not less than 10 rupees 10, which is payable as compensation, may be deposited with the commissioner on behalf of the person entitled thereto. The receipt of the commissioner shall be sufficient, discharging respect of any compensation deposited with him. Now, after the deposit of compensation, the commissioner shall deduct therefrom the actual cost of the workman's funeral expenses to an amount not exceeding rupees 50 and pay the same to the person by whom the expenses were incurred. 6. The commissioner may serve notices calling upon the dependents to appear before him for the purpose of determining the distribution of the compensation. Seventh, if the commissioner is satisfied that no dependent exists, he shall repay the balance of the money to the employer. Eighth, the commissioner shall, on application by the employer, furnish a statement showing in detail all disbursements made. Ninth, the compensation money is to be distributed among the dependents in such proportions as the commissioner thinks fit. The whole of it may be given to one person. 10th, except in case of a woman or a person under a legal disability, the compensation money is to be paid to the person entitled thereto. Money payable to a woman or a person under a legal disability may be invested or otherwise dealt with as the Commissioner thinks fit. Half monthly payments payable to a person under a legal disability may be paid to a dependent of the workman or to any other person whom the Commissioner thinks best fitted to provide for the welfare of the workmen. The order of the Commissioner regarding the distribution of compensation may be varied later if necessary. Notice must be given to the parties affected. Where under the previous para, the Commissioner varies an order on the ground that the payment of compensation to any person has been obtained by fraud, the impersonation, or other improper means, any amount so paid may be recovered by the procedure laid down for the recovery of errors of land revenue. Object, what is the object of this section 8? So section 8 of the act is designed to protect the hires and the legal representatives of the deceased workmen against any kind of exploitation or fraud likely to be practiced on them by or on behalf of the employer or any third party. Section 8 of the Act lays down the format for quantum of compensation payable by an employer when an employee meets with an accident. Its object is that unscrupulous employers should not take advantage of the ignorance of the employee in making payments of a paltry sum. Therefore, the Act safeguards the interest of the workers, and any private payment will not discharge the statutory obligation. Now, employer not to pay compensation directly to the deceased hires and legal representatives. So, no compensation has to be paid in respect of a workman whose injury has resulted in death except by the deposit with the commissioner, and no such payment made directly by an employer shall be deemed to be a payment of compensation. The employer should not make any payment of compensation directly to the deceased hires and legal representatives or to any of them. Thank you.